sold separately, and you can put them in any crazy pose you want.
Kiss, that's the name. Kiss, they may look insane. Kiss, it rocks your game. It's Kiss.
Kiss, each 12.5-inch figure sold separately by Mego.
Kiss. The incredible, outrageous rock group wants you to kiss your face. Introducing Kiss Your Face Makeup. Just like the makeup worn by Gene, Paul, Peter, or Ace. Kiss Your Face Makeup has all the equipment you need. Professional makeup, brushes, and cream remover with makeup diagrams so you can look like Gene, look like Paul, look like Peter, or look like Ace. So kiss your face and get your act together.
Kiss Your Face Makeup is from Remco.
Yeah. Welcome back. I'm Pat, that Halloween movie collector. Recently, on one of our that horror movie podcasts, we were discussing collectibles, and it's primarily I collect Halloween collectibles, and my other cohorts collect Halloween, as well as other horror entities and some other franchise stuff too. Years ago, back about 20 some odd years ago, I'm a diehard Kiss fan. As you've seen, there's some Kiss content starting to appear on this channel, but I also did have a rather large Kiss collection. Now, I collected basically just the vintage Kiss items from the 70s, all branded from, Bill Aucoin, Aucoin Management, which was the OG stuff from the 70s and the very early 80s before they let Bill go. So I started looking through a lot of the old pictures of my collection, got very nostalgic. So I thought, let me put together a video of some of the favorite pieces I had in my collection. I don't have any of it anymore. Sold it all off 20 some odd years ago. Yeah, I know I regret it. It was the right decision at that time to do what I did. But I was revisiting. I do have pictures of basically 90% of what I have, or 80% or so. So scanned a bunch of pictures. I thought would go through and just take a look at some of the ones that I remember in my collection that were some of my favorites. Now here's one that's great now. What kid in the 60s and 70s didn't have a Viewmasters? Now, for some younger folks that maybe watch this, Viewmasters were those things you look through and you click the slides. They were round discs and they had pictures on them. And they had them for everything back in the day. And of course, they had them for Kiss. So I used to love the Kiss Viewmasters. They were a lot of fun. I did have two sets. There were two different versions that I had. And I did have an open set years ago as a kid. Now, granted, I had a lot of this stuff in the 70s as a kid and played with it because I was young. So I did eventually buy newer stuff, more mint condition stuff as I got older. So a lot of the stuff you're going to see in these pictures is mint. Nothing's opened. But as a kid, I did play with a lot of the stuff. And as I got older, I went back and bought it all. Growing up in the 60s and 70s, who didn't play board games? Everybody played board games. I still play board games. I love board games. I mean, everything is video games for the past 30 years, 40 years now. I love board games. I still do. And who didn't love the Kiss On Tour board game? This was such a lot of fun. Used to play with my friends. And I mean, I haven't played it in years, obviously, because I don't even own it anymore. But it was just a cool game. They did come out with a Kiss Monopoly game a couple of years ago. That was pretty cool. And a Kiss trivia game. There's a lot of Kiss games out there, card games and stuff like that. But the OG was the Kiss On Tour board game. Of course, going back to collectibles back in the day, before the days where kids just sit in front of their computers now and play video games and go on the internet, much like I'm doing now. You did jigsaw puzzles. Everybody did jigsaw puzzles. Jigsaw puzzles actually became popular again a couple of years ago during COVID when people were home because everybody was trying to stay inside and stay occupied. Because we even went out and bought a couple of jigsaw puzzles because we haven't played them in years. Last ones I owned were probably the Kiss ones. And they were all sealed. So there was one for each member, each solo one. Not the solo album's art, they were different art. And of course the two I loved was a Destroyer one and a Love Gun one. So just love the jigsaw puzzles. I'm a musician. I love music. What better than to listen to music through a Kiss radio? Granted, it was an AM radio because at the time, AM radio was still pretty popular. I used to listen to it all the time. I think I mentioned on one of the other videos I did, I used to have one of those Panasonic donut radios that you used to turn and had the little dial. I'll see if I can dig one up and throw a picture up here. So I used to listen to AM radio all the time, and nobody played Kiss. So it was kind of a joke that Kiss came out with a Kiss radio because you couldn't get Kiss on the radio. Very rarely. I remember my brother and I calling radio stations telling them to play it. They never played Kiss. Very rarely did you hear anybody play Kiss. But they did have a Kiss radio, and it was very cool. Now, the granddaddy of all was, back in the day, before Atari came out with Asteroids, and we had Pac-Man and all the video game craze in the early 80s that I was a part of. I used to go to the candy store in my town and pump quarters in and play games all the time. There was pinball machines. Loved pinball machine. Pinball has really made a resurgence in the past 10, 15 years. Now there's pinball machines for everybody, including some new KISS pinball machines. But the grail was to have the Bally KISS pinball machine from 1979. And I did manage to get my hands on one, and I had it. That was actually the last collectible I had that I eventually sold. I was trying to hold on to it, but I ended up selling it right before we sold our first house. So I did have the pinball machine. It was a lot of fun. But I'd love to get another one. There's actually a Halloween pinball machine that came out, and I would have loved to got my hands on that, but they were about 10 grand, and it probably would have been an instant divorce. So maybe someday I'll be able to get a hold of either or. Who knows? But the KISS pinball machine, ultra cool. Now here's another one that's pretty rare to find because most kids open it up, much like myself, and used it. The KISS poster art set, where it was a blank photo, rock and roll over, and some other stuff in there, and you could just open it up and just color it all in and hang it on your wall. So I had one as a kid, and of course I colored it all in, hung it on the wall, and got ruined and just disappeared over through the course of the sands of time. Like a lot of the stuff from my youth just seemed to disappear, probably through garage sales or parents just throwing it out because they just wanted it out of their house. What child of the 70s bedroom would not be complete without a set of KISS bedspread? Sheets, curtains. I never had the sheets, the curtains, and whatnot. I only had the bedspread, and I never had one as a kid on my bed. We always had Star Wars ones because Star Wars was huge. We were big Star Wars fans, Evel Knievel fans, Star Trek, Batman, but we never had the KISS stuff in the room. But I did manage to get my hands on a KISS bedspread, and it's super cool images of like a love gun and a Live 2 on it. Just really, really cool. Here's something that's pretty much fallen by the wayside that was huge when I was a kid. Models. People used to put together models all the time. Model cars, ships, all sorts of stuff. Models were huge back in the day. Airplanes. And I don't even see them anymore. Maybe some hobby shops. But they used to be a real big thing. My brother was a big model guy. He used to make model cars all the time. And, of course, KISS had to come out with the KISS model van. And you put it together. You had decals to put on it, the Destroyer decals. So that was very cool. And I miss models. Models were fun. There's just so much things back in the day that keep kids occupied. And nowadays, it's just everybody on the goddamn computer like this and video games. When I did a ranking of the KISS 70s studio albums, and my number one was Love Gun, spoiler alert, but go check out the video anyway. It's a lot of fun and see where the rest of them land. Inside the Love Gun and album, inside the, or actually, I think it was actually inside the solo albums order form, and I did a solo albums ranking. I'll throw that up there too. They had KISS necklaces, and basically it was just their signature. So I thought those are the coolest things ever. I didn't get them at the time. I ended up picking them up years later, little by little, through the KISS conventions that I used to go to in Jersey when I lived in Jersey years ago. I managed to get all four of them. And in this picture too, there's actually a real cool, rare KISS logo necklace as well. Back in the 70s when I was a kid, stickers were a big thing. We used to get stickers all the time, put them all over our notebooks. We used to have to cover our books in paper bags that we used to get at the supermarket. And we put all sorts of stickers, whether it be KISS or just anything that was popular at the time. And KISS, there was a bunch of various different stickers, but the puffy stickers were the best. So here's a set of the 4 original puffy stickers. Still in their packages, because at the time, of course, I bought all that stuff and threw them all over everything and don't have it any longer. So here's a set that's still in the package. Speaking of schoolwork, who wouldn't want to go to school and do your work in using KISS pens? There were KISS pencils as well. I couldn't find any pictures. I know I had the pencils, but I didn't see any of the photos I had. But KISS pens, and these are highly collectible now, they go for stupid amounts of money, especially the Peter Criss one, because that seems to be the rarest one to find still in the package. So KISS ballpoint pens. Why not? And these were cool. Now, I started collecting these after I started seeing them at the KISS conventions in the early 80s. Because there's no place around here that sold these Magic Market cups that you could collect the cups. Like back in the day, you can get Slurpee cups to collect them. You go to McDonald's, Burger King, always had collectible cups. Well, these were made by Magic Market, and you can go collect all of these KISS cups. Now, there was 2 sets. So there was 2 of each member. And they're super cool. So I collected them over the years. Never actually had any stores nearby that actually had them. Going back to my youth, Of course, you'd want to go to school with your Kiss pens and pencils and Kiss t-shirts and putting all your schoolwork in your Kiss backpack. Of course, you got to have a Kiss backpack. I never had the Kiss backpack when I was a kid going to school. I went to Catholic school, so you had their backpack that you had to use, like one of those pull string ones. So I never actually had the Kiss backpack till later on when I finally got it. But Super Pack backpack, very cool. Like going camping or just sleeping over your friend's house, why not bring your Kiss sleeping bag? Of course, Kiss had a sleeping bag. Now, I don't even think you really see it. Well, you probably do for kids, yeah, because we had some young Disney ones for my daughter, I remember as a kid, when she was younger. But here you go, Kiss sleeping bag. Same thing here. I used to camp with my friends. We had a fort in my backyard growing up. Never had the Kiss sleeping bag. Got this, from the conventions later on, but very cool. And it's all about Kiss's music. Why not listen to Kiss records on a Kiss record player from Tiger Electronics? I had the Kiss record player. Didn't have it as a kid. Got it, like I said, as I started collecting a little bit in the early, going to the Kiss conventions in the 80s. And I had one that was perfect condition. It worked. Never managed to get one in the box. Very hard to get one in a box or even get the box in decent condition. So I just always had the one outside the box. But this is super cool. I used to have a small portable record player like this. I used to play Kiss 45s on and Kiss records when I was a kid until my parents got me my own stereo. But always wanted the Kiss record player. Never got it. Eventually got it through the collecting. Sitting in your room, using your Kiss record player, listening to some Kiss, either 45s or albums, doing your schoolwork, and you make mistakes and you need a trash can, why not have the Kiss trash can, the metal trash cans? Now, metal trash cans were always big, especially sports ones. And, of course, there was a Kiss trash can. Now, I didn't have this as a kid either. I think we had the Star Wars one. I got this one later on. And it was never used it for, obviously, for trash because it was a collectible. I just remember keeping a lot of Kiss posters, and there was like a good poster holder. And Kiss goes hand in hand with comic books. I remember reading comic books as a kid, and of course, who didn't? This I did have a version of when it first came out, the Kiss comic book, the Marvel comic book, printed in Kiss blood. Yes, Kiss went and dumped vials of their actual blood into the printing ink. Promotional stunt. Well, it was cool. As kids, we were like, wow, printed in real Kiss blood. Of course, when you were a young kid, it was super cool. And there was 2 different ones, and I had both of them at the time and read them and eventually bought mint copies, which you're seeing in pictures here, but very, very cool. And they did a reprint of these years later in one book. I remember at the height of the reunion era. Of course, aiming for children again. Kids going to school with a Kiss backpack, Kiss pens, Kiss pencils. Why not bring your lunch in your Kiss lunchbox? The Kiss lunchbox, metal lunchbox. This is what we had back in the day. Kids nowadays, some don't even bring lunch. Or you could buy it at school, obviously. Or just everybody brown bagged it. But back in the day, they were all metal lunchboxes. And not just Kiss ones, everything. You name it, I always had different ones. And I never had the Kiss lunchbox when I was going to school. Like I did get it later, early 80s. I finally got my hands on one. I always had different ones, but I always had metal lunchboxes. But there it is, Kiss lunchbox and thermos. Now, these sets are cool because those in my generation, I don't even know if they still make them anymore, to be honest with you. You had colorform sets. We had those little vinyl pieces, and you could put them, and they would have a backdrop, and you'd put the pieces together, and you can make different scenes. So I do remember getting the set. This isn't the actual set I had as a kid. This is a set I bought a little bit later on through collecting and whatnot. But I remember getting it when I was in the hospital. I had pneumonia, early 80s. I was in hospital for like a week and a half in one of those pure oxygen bubbles because I'm asthmatic. And I remember my parents coming and bringing me the Kiss Colorform set because, of course, they're going to bring you stuff to do, and they bought me the Kiss Colorform set. So I always remember getting that when I was in the hospital. And going hand in hand with the Colorform set is the Kiss Rub and Play set, where you got like one of those, like a popsicle stick type thing, and you'd rub the images onto this, like a piece of, I forget what it was made of. Basically, it was just like a rub and play. You rub the images on different things so you can make different scenes. So this I got later on too. I didn't have this when I had gotten the Colorform, so I got this a little bit later on, but still cool nonetheless. Actually, the best part of it is the cover of it with the artwork. I always liked the artwork on the cover of the box. And taking me back to my old, me and my brother, we used to have those, was it AFX? I believe that was the name of the company, racetracks that used to put together remote control race cars. And now this Kiss never had that, which I'm surprised. They never had it with the actual racetrack, but they did have the Kiss radio control van. Because back in the day, radio control vans were very basic. You pressed the button, they went forward. They went backwards, and as they went backwards, they turned, and then you'd go forward. Very minimalistic and very basic. But there was a KISS radio control van. 2 versions. Now, they had a box that just looked like a regular square shoebox size. And then they had one with a flap that stuck up. So obviously I'm throwing pictures of, I had both versions. And they were very, very cool. Never opened them up to play with them. Actually got these, like I said, in the early 80s as I was collecting. So I never actually got one and played with it. Now this, I had as a kid too and disappeared at the sands of time because I always liked music. Thus being a KISS fan since I'm, 5 years old or so. KISS plastic guitar. So younger kids, I think they still make plastic guitars for kids to play with and stuff. I've been in the toy section since my kids were younger. And they have guitars because I play guitar. They have acoustic guitars, and neither of them really picked it up because they just didn't practice. But they had plastic guitars, and obviously you can get them in whatever advertising they had. I'm sure they had from all different things, but of course they had one for KISS. And here's the KISS guitar. And I had a real nice one still in the package in the box because there was a version in that was in a solid box and one that had like a backing and it was just plastic wrapped over it. Never had that version, but here's the one in the box is the one I had. And very, very cool. Best visualized part of KISS is what? Their makeup. So why not come out with KISS makeup kit? KISS Your Face makeup kit. Make yourself up like Gene, Paul, Peter, and Ace. Or as the first version from Remco said, if you read the box, it said Gene, Paul, Ace, and Chris. They actually printed Peter Chris's last name instead of putting Peter on there. Eventually they corrected it, but that's one of the versions you have to get because it's a misprint. And then eventually they came out with obviously the corrected version of that. Then they came out with one that said new water-soluble solution. So I had the 2 versions up here, which is easier to get the stuff off because they used to come with like this makeup remover. And here the water-soluble version you can just wipe off with water and soap. And these I loved. I vividly remember my father dragging my father through the streets of Hoboken, New Jersey, because back in the 70s and 80s, when they actually had record stores and 5 and dime stores, because I was at the time trying to collect all the KISS trading cards. Yes, Don Russ put out KISS bubblegum cards. And I remember we used to go to the candy store in our town. But I do remember dragging my father up and down, trying to because I wanted to get all the collection, put it together. You put the puzzle. There was a puzzle in the back of the cards when you lined them all up. And there was two series. It was first series and second series. And there was actually a series that came out in Australia with Eric Carr during the Unmasked era, which I never got my hands on. So I did have full boxes of both the Series 1 and Series 2. And I did have full card sets, completed sets as well. And of course, you like painting your face like KISS, but you have to dress up like KISS. So back then, Collegeville costumes, which were the big things at the time, but if you remember the big square boxes and they had the cellophane cover and you could look through and see what the costume was, the KISS costumes. So I always had, obviously I'm throwing pictures up here of what I had. I don't think I have a picture. I thought I had a picture of, I had all 4 of them, but I don't think I got a picture of all 4 of them together. So I think I'm missing the picture of the Paul Stanley costume. I always dressed as Ace Frehley. That because Ace was always my favorite, and that's probably why I got interested in playing guitar. So I always dressed like Ace Frehley every year. And of course, we'll end on this because I'll go through some more and see what I can find for maybe another video, a part 2 to this. You had to have the KISS Mego dolls. Yes, the tall KISS Mego dolls. Great commercial, KISS, that's the name. We'll probably throw some bits of the pieces of the commercial up here. So I had all 4 dolls. They came in the boxes where of course, you can get them in the boxes now. They're very expensive in the boxes. I had them in boxes, but as a kid, I had all 4 loose. And of course, as a kid, what do? You play with the stuff you get because you don't understand the value until you get older. So in the back, there was guitars and there was all sorts of stuff. Drums you can cut out and basically set up like a little, set them up like they're playing the instruments. So of course, the original ones I got, I cut those damn boxes all up. And years later, I've managed to get a set in boxes. And I think back to there used to be a store called Odd Lot in northern New Jersey where I grew up. And it was like discounted place, like, it was like a liquidating place where things would go and you get them real cheap. Vividly remember probably God, I want to say 83, 84, going in there one day with my mother and seeing shelves of the Kiss Mego dolls in boxes. Because you gotta remember, when Kiss fell out of popularity and saturated the market with all this stuff, a lot of this shit ended up in closeout stores, flea markets, odd lot places. And you can get it dirt cheap. And I remember the Mego dolls being like $2 a piece or something like that. You know, if I would have known, I was too young, who the hell would have known? But I'd go back in time, get me a transporter, and I'll just buy everyone on those shelves because worth a fucking fortune now to buy these things. All this Kiss stuff. That was one of the main reasons I ended up selling it at the time. We were looking to get a house, start a family, and I couldn't keep up with collecting because Kiss stuff, it's even worse now. I don't know how people do it. Like if you want to buy the original stuff from the 70s, I don't know how you do it because I still follow all the Kiss groups because I'm a big Kiss fan. I love Kiss. And I look at all the people with their collections and all this stuff, and I just see what the stuff's going for. And I'm like, oh my God, who the hell could afford this shit? I mean, Halloween stuff is not cheap either, some of the vintage stuff. But therein lies a lot of it I bought over time, so I did get it a lot cheaper. And it's just gone up in value within the last probably 5-6 years with the Halloween trilogy that came out and renewed interest in Halloween. That's when everything, that's where they just basically saturated the market with Halloween stuff. And all the old vintage stuff I have has gone up in value, which is great. But this stuff I'm not selling. You know, I always told my wife, I said, the day we hit that Mega Millions or the lottery, I'm going to go back out on a tear and start buying all that Kiss stuff back, which I don't ever see ever happening. You know, I made my peace with it. It's nostalgic. I have my pictures. I still follow all the groups and see what people have. And one thing I've never lost, never sold, or never got rid of is my love for Kiss. As you can see, still a big Kiss fan. It's always been about the music. Still listen to Kiss all the time, and been to many, many shows over the years. So maybe I'll go through and see what other pictures I have and see if there's other cool rare stuff if anybody's interested. I just thought I'd throw this together because I was feeling nostalgic after looking through those pictures, and I thought let's throw up there my Kiss room because everybody sees my backdrop, which is my Halloween room. Well, that was my Kiss room from Jesus Christ, how many years ago now? See, that's got to be over 20 years. Oh, more than that. I figure my son's 21, so stuff was gone before. I still had the pinball machine when he was a kid, so you figure 20 years. Which is when I probably sold it all off. So some of you people out there in eBay land might have bought it from me in your Kiss collections because I sold it all on eBay back in the day. So some of the stuff you see in pictures might be in your collection if you're watching this. So that'd be very, very cool. That's it for this time. That's it for this video. Like I said, I'm going to look for some more, see if I can find some more Kiss collectible photos that I had. If you're into horror, there's tons of horror content on this channel. If you're into Halloween, there's plenty of Halloween collectible shit on here. I do a lot of collectible spotlights. I've done it in a minute, but there's tons to go back and look on. We do music, rankings. We do that horror movie podcast every Sunday night. Every Tuesday night, we watch a horror movie. We watch on that live movie watch along. There's a ton of shit on here, and there'll be a lot more Kiss stuff if you're just specifically watching to see what my Kiss collection looked like. But until then, hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you like the video. Helps people find this channel. Helps a brother out. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button before you check out too. Don't cost nothing. And until then, I'll talk to you soon.